Welcome to the first module of Crash Course on Psychometrics. In this module, we will learn about what is a test and what are psychometric tests. We will briefly see the concept of tests as used in this course and compare different kinds of tests from physical science with psychometric tests. Let's look at the learning objectives of this module. This module has 3 learning objectives. First is to have a common understanding of the word test, as this word is kind of overused and has a variety of meanings in different contexts. Our second learning objective from this module is to define what is a psychometric test and differentiate it from other kinds of tests. And lastly, we will learn a bit about the taxonomy of psychometric tests and explore different ways of categorizing psychometric tests. So, what is a test? I'm going to show you some examples of tests which we use in our daily normal life, sometimes not even knowing that they're tests. Let's look at this. A mechanical weighting scale. This is a test. Let's look at another simple example. A ruler. This is also a test. Now, what is this? A mechanical barometer. It measures atmospheric pressure. This is also a test. Of course, more complex than a ruler. Let's have a look at some other more complex tests. This one, a digital weighting scale, or this one, a normal thermometer, and this one, a digital thermometer. All these are tests with varying level of complexity built in them. Why are they called tests? Because they measure something. So, in simple terms, a test is an instrument for measurement. That which measures something is a test. All this tells us about the quality of the characteristic they are measuring. Let's look at another type of test. This is called a litmus test. Litmus paper turns its color depending upon the acidity of the solution. All other examples are about physical tests. This litmus test is a chemical test. It also measures the quality, the level of acidity, but it does not tell you the quantity. Rather, it just tells you if the quality is above or below a certain level. In this example, pH 7. Till now, we see that a test is an instrument which measures something. It's an instrument to quantify an observation, technically speaking. Let's look at some examples of how a test result is noted and interpreted. This is a blood sugar test machine, which tells you the sugar level in your blood. It presents the result in a very simple format. Just one number representing the quantum of sugar in your blood. However, there are complex blood tests too, which need reference tables to make sense of the results. In the medical field, there is another kind of test which we rarely notice. When you visit a doctor and tell her about your alignment, she asks you a series of questions. Most times, these questions are part of a standard test. Based on your answers to the questions, she decides about the nature and quantum of problem you have, and prescribes you appropriate treatments. All these are tests. Now, I guess you see that we are all surrounded by tests all the time. Let's now look at a psychometric test. Now, what is a psychometric test? Learning from recent material, we can say that a psychometric test is an instrument which measures psychological characteristics, and this is correct. All psychometric tests are instruments for measurement, and they measure some psychological characteristics or attributes. The term psychological characteristic is quite broad here. It includes cognitive abilities like verbal skills, numerical reasoning, logical thinking, and there are more than 20 identified cognitive abilities. The term psychological characteristics also includes knowledge, personality, behaviors, preferences, styles, and dispositions. Thus, we see that the domain of psychometric tests are quite broad, and therefore we have dedicated a special module in categorizing and understanding different kinds of psychometric tests. But to give you an idea, let's look at some example questions from two different psychometric tests. Look at this question. It asks the test taker to decide if the given picture belongs to set A or set B or none of them. Think for a moment. What ability is being measured by this question? Is it measuring the ability to do numerical calculations in memory? No. It is measuring ability to derive a conclusion from given premises. No. Is it measuring memory? No. Is it measuring the ability to compare and identify similarities? Yes. This is called logical reasoning, and this question is just one of the many possible indicators of logical reasoning. Now look at these questions. What are they measuring? It is asking if a test taker exhibits certain behaviors. What these questions are measuring? Are they measuring logical reasoning? Probably not. Are they measuring personality? Most likely, because, as we will see later, personality is defined as recurring a relatively stable pattern of behavior. We just had a glimpse into two different kinds of psychometric tests. In the next module, we will see many different kinds of psychometric tests. However, it is important to note here that psychometric tests are not necessarily questionnaires, and not all questionnaires created to measure cognitive ability or personality can be called psychometric tests. To be able to call something a psychometric test, the questionnaire should demonstrate psychometric properties. What are those psychometric properties? We will learn about them in the later module, but first, a small assignment for you before proceeding with taxonomy of psychometric tests. As an assignment, search on Google about the difference between a questionnaire and a test, and post your findings in the discussion forum available in this module. This way, you will take an active part in learning, and the learning will be long-lasting for you. See you in the next module, where we will talk about taxonomy of psychometric tests.